So the first thing we're going to take a look at is actually going through an account activation. So many of you may have already set up your account, but we're going to quickly show what that looks like here. I've got a user that received an email to join a ShareFile account called ShareFile Rocks. So you can see here, this is the activation email we have. We have an activate account button right here. We're going to go ahead and open that up in a incognito here so it doesn't mess up my other login. And just kind of take a look at what it looks like. So it's going to go through and populate the information that was set up with your account, and then it's going to go through and actually ask you for a password. And this may be specific to the organization that you're joining. These minimum requirements can be changed by an admin. So just take a note at the requirements up there at the top. So I'm not going to go through the full process here because it will ask for a phone number. So once you enter your password in here, if you're a new account, it's going to ask for a phone number for a text or phone call. So this is going to be the first time setup. It's going to send you a one-time code just to make sure that you are the person that's logging in. And then once that's set up, it'll let you log into the account. All right, so this is the dashboard of our account here. This is the sharefilerocks.sharefile.com. And the ShareFile Rocks, the first piece here at the top, this is actually our subdomain. So this is custom to the organization that you're in or the one that you're a client to. And that's going to be the way that you get to the login. So our login is going to be sharefilerocks.sharefile.com. And if you happen to not remember what the subdomain is for your organization, typically it's the company name, but if it's not and you don't remember it, the easiest way to look up what ShareFile accounts you're a member of for the subdomain is just simply go to sharefile.com. We'll click the login button at the top, and you can see here there's a link for don't know your account subdomain. So once you click this, we're going to actually add my test account here. We'll select some bridges here, CAPTCHA. And now it's going to send us an email, and it's going to let us know the accounts that our email address is mapped to. Go back to my email here, and you can see here I've been mapped to multiple accounts. This is actually one of my test accounts, and you can see the ShareFile URLs that you're mapped to. So a great way if you forget your company's subdomain to use that link there. Alternatively, if you also need to reset your password, at the login screen here, let me go back to our ShareFile Rocks page. There's going to be a forget my password link at the login here, and that will send you a link to change your password. So we'll go ahead and log back in here. So we're back at the dashboard here. So just to get familiarized with what you see here, this is going to be the page you see when you first log in. And going through these panes here, we have shortcuts, and this is going to be really a quick link to a lot of the features that you have on your account. If you want to just quickly share a file, request a file, or maybe you just want to go to your shared folders, your projects, or send for signature, those are all shortcuts here that are available to you. Your recent files that you've recently opened or modified, those are going to be listed here for quick reference. Your favorites down here, you do have the ability to set a folder or a file as a favorite. If you use those quite often in your everyday, those will show up here. We also have a tutorial section down here. This is going to go through some very basic how-tos, adding people to your account, adding a person to a folder. We also have some more advanced tutorials, managing groups of users, changing branding, things like that. And then some tutorials on using some of our apps that we'll talk about a little bit later. The other thing that's cool about this dashboard here, if you don't like how these are arranged, you can simply click the Edit Dashboard button. You can turn these off if you'd like. And then if you'd like to actually move them, If you hover over the top of these bars, you'll see the icon change, and you can simply drag and drop where you need to go. So moving on, we'll take a look at the left navigation here on the dashboard. So really the meat of where all your files are going to be stored is within folders. So here's a list of everything we have under folders. We have personal folders and shared folders. So personal folders, really the difference here is personal is really going to be the place for just documents that only you are working on. Maybe they're documents you're putting together before they're shared out to clients or to other employees within your organization. It's really designed to be a personal folder only. Really, the bulk of where everything is stored is going to be in shared folders. This is where permissions will be set, clients will be able to log in and access files. It's really going to be where your organization does most of your work. You also have the favorites, like we mentioned on the dashboard. If you have favorited some items, those will be showed here. And then below this, we do have some cloud connectors set up. We do have some Google Drive integration, Box, OneDrive, things like that you can actually connect in and access files on those other providers. Filebox here, this is going to be a temporary storage location. This has a 180-day expiration where files will automatically be purged. And this is a place where, let's say if you're using our Outlook plugin and you're not specifically telling the system, where you want to save a file, things will be dropped here automatically. Maybe this is just used as a temporary space because you don't want things to, permanently get stored. You just want some quick back and forth file exchange. This file box can be used here. And then recycle bin, everybody should be familiar with that. This is where deleted files go. And these have, I believe, a 45-day expiration on them, where files will be permanently deleted. Projects here, this is a premium feature if you do have it. That's where you can create projects, stay on task, and collect documents from employees or outside clients. Workflows, this is going to have some automated workflows built into it if you do have that feature on your account. Signatures, this is another feature that's actually been moved into ShareFile from Write Signature that launches outside. So if you do have that feature enabled on your account, all of your signature requests will be listed here, and you'll be able to build templates from there. Inbox, this is going to be where any links that you've received to either view a document, things that you've been shared with, or request links that you've been received. Those will be listed here. It'll give you the expiration, and it'll actually show you the message if there was an encrypted message attached to it or any files linked to the message. And then sent, kind of the reverse of that. If you send out any file links for requests or just sharing, those will be here. One nice thing too is if you wanted to resend it, you can here. If, let's say, you sent a share link out and you want to go ahead and expire it because you're done with it, you can simply expire the link. Archived here, if you do send any of these received or sent messages to the archive, that will be stored here. People section, this is going to be where you, if you are an admin, you'll have access to, add users, add client users, manipulate the distribution groups. So basically groups of users within the account. You'll be able to send, resend welcome emails if someone maybe didn't receive one or maybe deleted it by accident. That can be done here. And also the address books are saved here. So personal address book is going to be any contacts that you've worked with. And then shared address book is going to be kind of on an account level. And then settings, we'll go into the personal settings in a little bit here. But this is where if you're an admin on the account, you'll go into admin settings to manage features and set restrictions on the account or anything that has to do with more administrative features. All right, so next thing we'll take a look at is we're going to do some sharing and requesting. So we'll actually dive into one of the shared folders here. And we're going to actually, let me back out here. Choose this folder here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share a couple files out to Cord, and I'll show you how easy it is to kind of go through the options and set permissions here. So we're going to actually choose this culture document and this mission statement I've created. There's a couple ways to share. Remember, we talked about the dashboard. You can click share. You can also go into a folder and select multiple files to share or a single file. We'll click share. So you have a couple options here. You can send to specific people, and we'll touch on this in a second. Or if you're quickly just sending out a link to somebody to download a couple files that they need that were larger than your email could send. You just want to create a link and send it off. You can just generate a link here. You can edit the options. So you can give view permission, you can give download, or you can give edit. And edit is going to require a sign-in, so they will need to be an employee or a client user. So we'll send Cord a couple documents here, just view access. And you have some options here for who can access this link. So anyone public must enter name and email. Those are going to be kind of the anonymous options. Those aren't the most recommended unless the content you're sending out is not very sensitive and you just want to get it out quickly. So anyone public is going to be anyone with the link, doesn't matter who they are. Anyone public must enter a name and email. That's going to actually require you to enter a name and email address to access the file. Client and employee users after signing in, that's going to allow client or employee users to access it, and they must sign in. And the employee users here is strictly employee users, so only those internal to your account. So we'll just put it for public for demo purposes. Expiration, you can set an expiration here. We have after a week and after 1 day. You actually have more options than this if your administrator allows it. This particular demo account here, we've set some restrictions to only allow links to go out a week. So those are our only two options here, but you have the ability, if the admin permits it, to change that to up to 6 months or never even. Always link to the latest version of the file. So if you have versioning enabled, and let's say you put another file into a folder, it's got the same name, it's going to create another version. So this will essentially say, hey, I want to always send this file with the latest version. So the most recent upload of that file. If you wanted to send like an older version, you could turn that off. And then you could send, maybe the first draft of the file if it's something you want to do. Add a watermark. This option you can see here will actually limit to only the logins, because the watermark will actually add an overlay over the file with that particular user's login information, or IP address, things like that. You can customize the watermark, how it looks. This will be overlaid over the file for just additional security. And then notifications here. If you want to know as soon as somebody accesses this link, you can select this option here. It will send you a notification saying, hey, this person accessed the file. So we'll turn off watermark here, we'll put it back to public. Now we'll just save this. All right, so now we have a link here. We can simply copy the link and I can send it to Cord. I can email it to them. Maybe I have a Slack channel or something I need to quickly send this to. That option is there for you. The other option here is sending to specific people here. Very similar, but it's going to be targeted by the system to send a link to that person. So if I come in here and I type in Cord, find Cord here, we can type a message out. And then you can simply send this off. The same kind of edit options we have here, including the watermark and the notifications, and you can also be send a copy of the email. And the one thing I wanted to highlight here is we do have encrypt this email. So what this is going to do is it's going to send the body of the message encrypted. So when they receive an email notification, anything you type within the body here is not going to actually be sent in the email. It's going to be encrypted behind ShareFile. So when they log in, they'll be able to view that message. If you have some, sensitive information that you needed to include in this, you can send that encrypted, and they must log in to unencrypt the message to view it. So that option is there for you. All right. And then the same way kind of you share an item, you can also request items. So if we wanted to get Cord to send me a couple files into this folder, maybe we're working on a project and he's collaborating with me, but he hasn't uploaded any files. We can simply come up to the top button here, the plus. We can request files. We can give it a file location. So if we want them to go here, that's fine. If it's just a temporary file, like we talked about earlier, you can use that file box. But for today's demo, we're going to, want to focus specifically on requesting a file into this folder. So same options here. I won't go into detail about them because we just kind of went through them, but you can get a link and you can send this to specific people. And one thing I wanted to highlight here, so if you have, let me go back here. If you have a person that you want to send this request to, but they're actually not a user, you can come in here and actually create a user during the request. So that's an option if you have an outside client and you haven't worked with them yet, but you want to make sure that they're behind a login. You can create that employee here. So now we'll turn it over to Cord, and he's going to go through some of the folders and permissions, adding some users, and take a look at e-signature.
Thanks, Greg. Go ahead and stop your share.
Yes, sir.
All right. So yeah, we're going to get into folders here real quick. So if we just go to folders and then shared folders, as you can see here, we have all our folders listed. So we're just going to use this Cord and Greg webinar here. So to give a user access to a folder, so if you have a number of files in a folder and you want them to be able to download and upload within that folder rather than just using the links, you can come into the folder and go to the People tab. And then what you can do is go to Add People to Folder. And then it's going to give you the ability to either select a new person or create a new user. And then the permissions will be over here on the right side. So what we can do is we can go into our address book, shared address, and we can find somebody. So we're going to add John here. And then we can come in and we want to give John the ability to download and upload with us. And then we also want him to know when new files are added to this folder. And then at the very bottom, you'll have notify added users and apply settings to subfolders. If you have a lot of folders within this folder and you want this user to have access to all those folders with the same permissions, make sure this is checked. And if you want them to be notified that they're being added, make sure this other one is checked here. You can also come in and edit this message if you want it to have a specific directions on it as well, or if you just want it to say, I've added you to the folder. And then once that is complete, he will get this message and will be able to go directly to that folder once he logs in. So we'll go ahead and hit add here. And as we can see, John then pops up as a user. Oh, John was in the super user group, that's why. So that's the easiest way to add a user to the folder. If we want to add a completely new client, we can do that as well. To do that, instead of choosing one from your address book or typing in their email up here, we just do create new user. And then you set the permissions and everything just the same. And then do your notifications, anything you need there. And now it's going to apply this user. As we can see, this user is now listed. If you ever need to make any changes to a permissions, it's pretty much the same way that we just added them. You're just going to do it from here. Just come in here, you can uncheck whichever permissions you don't want them to get. And then again, if there's subfolders, especially make sure you do apply permissions to subfolders and then click save. And now this user no longer has the download permission on this folder. All right. If you need to add a client without adding them to the folder, you can do that as well. If you go to people and then browse clients, assuming you haven't had this permission taken away from you, it is not a universal permission, but most employee users will be able to add clients. All you need to do is go into the browse clients, add client, and then you'll add the same permissions, same way we did before. As part of this, you will also have the ability to assign folders. So if you have a lot of folders you need to add somebody to, you can easily come in here and give them permissions that way. And then once you're ready, just create and continue. It will then prompt you for the email that you're going to send them to let them know they've been created because they hadn't necessarily been associated with any items like when we added them directly to a folder. And then they'll get the welcome email to set up their account, which is similar to what Greg showed us earlier on signing in and creating your password. And then next, we're going to jump over here to our e-signature. So if you ever want to send a signature, you can either go from your shortcuts, you should have send for signature, or you can go over here to signatures and then do a signature request. So if you want to send your signature, all you need to do is come in here. You can do a bulk send, so you can send it to a lot of users. You can sign something yourself, or the more common thing is to just send a signature to a user. So we'll go here. And from here, you can either upload a file directly from your computer. You can use a template. So if you have a form you're sending to everybody or all your clients, and it's always going to be the same information requested and the same thing they're signing, you can use it to set up a template, and then you don't have to put all the fields on the document every time. But today we're just going to do from ShareFile. And choose my job offer template here and upload that. And while that's uploading, we have a couple options here at the bottom are who are the recipients, and so you can add additional recipients here. So if you had multiple people signing, you could add them on as well. Once you have multiple users as well, you can set a signing order so that they have to do them in whatever order you set up here from top to bottom. So once recipient 1 has completed it, then recipient 2 will be emailed and they can complete it. We're just going to be doing a single user today. Using that client I created earlier. You can also come in here and set whether they're a viewer. So if you have somebody that's not signing the document but needs to be included on a copy of it, you could do a viewer and then just add them on as well. But we now have our signer and we have our document uploaded. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the bottom right here and do next step. All right, and now we're presented with our document. On the left side, we'll have a number of different fields we can add. So if we want, we can come in here and do a text field for this name. I'm not going to add all the fields today because it'll take a couple minutes, but we can come down here, we can add our signature field. You can adjust the size if you need to. And over on the right, you'll have your options for your field. So if you ever want it to be required, you can check that here. Or if you don't want it to be required, you can. So same for the text box, you'll have a couple options here. If you have collecting a large amount of information with a text box, you might do multiple lines. That way that they can, it won't just make the font smaller and smaller the more they put in there. You can also align the text with a text field. Another big one here is the date field. So we can put that down here. Again, you can adjust the size to whatever you need to. And then you can change for date, you'll have your date format. So if you prefer a different format, you can come in here and set that. You can even autofill the date, so it'll automatically pick up when that day is. A couple other interesting ones that might be useful are checkboxes. So if you have a single checkbox, like a simple yes, no, you could use that field. If you have a group of checkboxes, you can add those. So that'll be whether they can choose one or more or only one from a list. And then if you ever need to add additional checkboxes to that, you just click the add checkboxes, and then you can come in here and they all kind of move separately. So you can line them up wherever they need to be. And if you ever need to remove a field, all you have to do is click remove checkbox group or whatever it happens to be. So the main thing is we have our signature and our date and that name. So we're good to go on our document here. So I'll just go ahead and hit next step. So if I want to give this a specific name, so if I wanted to add somebody's specific name on here, instead of it just being job offer template, I can do that. So I'll just put my own name there. If you have any specific notes, please review. You can add those in here. If you want you'll then have your option for expiration. So if you wanted to give them only 2 weeks, you could change that. If you want to set a passcode, so with a passcode, that's going to be a code that you have to provide separately from the document sending. So you might text it to them or call them and give it to them over the phone. That way you have a little more security on who's signing that document in the end. We also have our knowledge-based authentication for verifying identities. This is primarily going to be used for tax forms, but anybody can always turn it on as well if it's available on your account. All right, so we'll go ahead and send this request. And as we can see here, as the sender, we can come in and review what fields were assigned and created on here. And we have our information on the right. If you want to cancel the document completely, you can go in here and void it. If you want to make any changes before the users access it, you can do that here as well. You can also track the activity. So once somebody opens and accesses this document, you'll see information here. Once it's signed, you'll see additional things starting to pop in. If you ever need to change, so maybe you want to give them an extra week, you can come in here to the due date and update that and make those changes. So let me pop over here to our email. No, I thought I sent it. Let's double check. Nope, didn't come through yet. Oh, I had a typo in here. So we'll come in here, update that, save. Now let's try that again. I'm going to go ahead and send a reminder. And now hopefully, yes, there we go. So easy to fix my mistakes. Now what we can do as the signer, we just have to click review and sign. And that's going to bring us into the document here. And it's going to give us some pointers as we're a new user. So we'll have these red flags that point to which fields need to be completed. And they will kind of scroll us down through the document just to kind of point out where we're going. And then also how many fields we have left will show at the bottom. So as we can see here, we have a first field. So I'll just put my name there. And then at the bottom, you can see the red flag move down. We now have our signature. Users can either draw their signature, so they can just scribble in there, or they can use a type signature. So I put our signature in there and then hit apply. Signature shows up. And then as we did autofill date, it automatically populated the date, today's date. So now what we can do is we have a couple options. You could completely decline the document. They could download a copy of it. So if they needed just a blank copy for their records, they could do that. They can also save. So if they have a particularly long document and they may need to go look up some information or come back to it later, they can save their progress and come back to it. But we're all done. So we're going to go ahead and submit. It's going to pop up the terms of use, e-sign consent information, and then we'll hit submit again. And now we can see the document has been completed. All our information is on it. Our signature is on it. And at the very bottom now, we also have the signature certificate. So this is going to be all the technical information and everything that kind of makes it legal. And then also our full audit here. As the signer, we can come up here. We can download a copy of this. So we can download the original copy without any fields completed. We can download the completed version. We can download the signature certificate by itself, or we can do the combined PDF, which is both the completed document and the signature certificate as we see it here in the preview menu. So let me go ahead and jump back over to our admin screen here. And if we go to activity now, we can see that we modify the email and everything. And I'll go ahead and refresh, and then we should be able to see the signature activity. Yeah, as we can see here, we can see all that additional information. Document was signed and executed. And we can see everything here as well with our signature and our signature certificate. And you can come in here and download a copy as well. So there's our completed form, our signature. And as you get more, you'll see them in here. If you need to, you can come in here if you want to sort out which ones have been completed, which ones have been voided, anything like that. You can also come in here and sort through. If you're an admin for the signatures feature, you turn on admin view, you'll see everybody's documents on the account. So for admins, just click admin view if you're trying to find somebody's uncompleted documents or completed documents. And then don't know if it did it, but let me go over here since we sent it from ShareFile. Yeah, so since we used a file from ShareFile, it actually comes back, the completed version comes back to this folder with the certificate on it. So it automatically uploaded all this back into our folder for us. If we come in here, we can see the document. So this is great for keeping all your organization together. And there's our completed document. One other thing to note is, in addition to how we did it, where we started at signatures, if you come in here and do send for signature, same thing's going to happen where it sends it back to this folder. So if you want to go straight from the document itself to start the process, you can do that, and it pops up here. All right. And that's all for our e-signatures, but now we're going to go ahead and we'll take a look at our personal settings here. So personal settings, if you come in here, you can update your password, your name, email, anything you need to change. If you want to add an alternate email, you can come in here and add that as well. You can only have one primary email, which is where all of your notifications go. And once you have a secondary email on here, you can choose which is the primary and which is the secondary. If you are an admin who's been added for security threats, you'll see your notification settings here. You can also, any user can change their email notifications. So it'll usually be real time or 15 minutes, but maybe you get too many emails and you want them to come once an hour, once a day. You can set that up here as well. And then at the very bottom is time zone. So if you're getting a bunch of upload notifications that say stuff was uploaded 5 hours ago, you can come in here and change it to more accurately reflect your time. And then the second steps we have here are change security question. This is usually admins will have a security question set up, and this is for providing our support information. And then we'll have our two-step verification. I don't want you all to have my phone number, so I'm not going to open that one, but that will let you set up additional phone numbers for two-step verification. It's always good to have a backup number. So if you're using your office landline for your main one, you might set up your cell phone as your backup. You can also use a authenticator app like Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator and set those up for codes. And even more importantly, you can get backup codes from here, print those out, store them in a safe space, if you ever lose your phone or for whatever reason can't get through the two-factor authentication, you can use one of those backup codes. They're one use only, but it'll let you get back in without having to go through a reset process. And then if you ever need to access, if you've been given access to some of those connectors, like Greg was pointing out earlier, like Box or Google Drive, you can come in here and set up your credentials to access that. And then for advanced connections, if you need to use our FTP servers, and then my apps and devices. So if you're logged in to your phone and you lost your phone, you may want to come in here, revoke access to that phone. Or if your laptop's stolen and you need to come in here, all you have to do is come in here, choose that specific device, revoke it, or just revoke it on all computers and it'll log you out. If you are going to do this, I recommend revoking authentication, then changing your password. That way someone doesn't log in between those two steps. And that is it for our personal settings, but I think we're going to open it up to Q&A right now. Is that correct, Greg?
Yeah, let me actually go through a couple last things. You can
Yeah,
keep your
sure.
screen sharing up. Go ahead and click up on apps at the top right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
with ShareFile, we do offer a number of different applications. We have apps for Windows, we have apps for Mac, and then also the mobile versions as well. So for Windows, if you click up on Windows, we do have the ShareFile for Windows application. If you're a heavy Windows user and you're always in File Explorer and you like the feel of just navigating through there, you can connect into your ShareFile account and look at it in File Viewer or File Explorer. So that's a great tool to check out files if maybe you need to download it offline and work on it on a plane or something. That option is available for you there. We have our ShareFile for Outlook. So if you're doing a lot of emailing and sharing out files and requesting files and you want to do that directly through Outlook, maybe you want to send it from your mail server. ShareFile for Outlook is there for you as well. And then we do have a link at the bottom there to bring you to the Gmail marketplace to install the ShareFile for Gmail application if you're on Google Workspace. And then for apps for Mac, same type of thing. We have ShareFile for Mac. We've got the ShareFile for Outlook for Mac, and then the Gmail link as well. On mobile, we do have Android and iPhone applications to access your files. These are available on the corresponding app stores. And then third-party integrations, we do have some direct integrations within the QuickBooks and Salesforce. If you want to connect those in, you needed to export some files to one of these platforms, we do have that there. We do have some information on Microsoft Online Integration. If you don't know, we do have co-editing available and being able to edit Microsoft documents online. This does require a Microsoft license to be able to edit those files and do the collaboration, but more information is there. And then down below, it just gives some more popular integrations that you can learn more about. Some of these services do have ShareFile integrations built in. And so if you want to learn more, all those links are there. And then the last thing we just want to touch on is just going through some of our knowledge base and some of our websites that you have to really learn more about ShareFile. So, Cord, if you don't mind bringing up a new window there, or however you want to get to it, to the sharefile.com/help-center. I believe it's also /support.
I think this is the one you wanted.
Yep.
Right.
So this page is going to be a great resource. So a couple things I want to really highlight here is the community page there. Cord, if you just click that real quick. So this is going to be an online thread where actually members of our team will monitor and respond. So if you have a question about ShareFile that you want a quick answer to, come in here and sign in and ask your question. We're really starting to monitor this and we've gotten some really good feedback. So if you have a ShareFile or Podio question, even some API questions, feel free to visit this link here to ask your question. And then if you go back, our product documentation page, this is going to bring us to the docs.sharefile page. Any information about ShareFile, about Podio, or right signature, which is kind of moving more into what Cord showed you with the e-signature built in. All the product documentation is going to be found here. So it's going to give you a wealth of information, and all this you can search for something and get more information for your team or for yourself there. And then the status page, that's going to, we are a cloud platform, so that's going to give you what's going on if there is any outage currently. You can come here and click on ShareFile. Right now, everything is good. All systems are operational, so everything is good there. But you can come here and subscribe to updates if you want to get notified when there is any outages. When there are any outages, excuse me. And then the last couple things I wanted to highlight future webinars. So our webinar page is going to be just sharefile.com/webinars. This is going to be where you can sign up for any future webinars. You can see kind of what's coming up. We'd love to see you on another one. I know we've got some really good ones here coming up on May 2nd. Actually, I'll be doing one on projects. So if you had any interest in hearing more about what projects can do for you, if you maybe have the feature, but you really haven't touched it, that's a great time to learn. And then also I just wanted to highlight our YouTube page. We've spent a lot of time really building this out. If you go to youtube.com/sharefile, it's going to be actually where we upload all of our past webinars. We'll have playlists for, basic how-tos, things that are coming out, new features. We have marketing videos. And then, of course, if you missed a webinar, you want to go back to one that was maybe a month ago, we upload all of our past webinars there. Yeah, so the one thing that I want to highlight there, Cord, if you can scroll up, is if you go to playlists, yep, this is going to be where we have, ShareFile for legal videos. We've got e-signature, and then there is a playlist that has all of our past webinars. So if you didn't catch this today or want to go and revisit it, you can go there. So that's it for the demoing. See if we had any questions here.
Yep. Greg, I'll jump in real quick. I do
Sure.
see a question, just a general note from our friend Justin. He said he missed the first 10 minutes. One thing to mention, Justin, is we do record these sessions and we'll send this recording to you by the end of the week. And then once again, everyone, it looks like everybody really got their questions answered in the chat today. So if you didn't, we'll send you a follow-up email just to answer your question. But I know we did want to touch a little bit deeper on a few points, or at least just briefly mention some common themes that we've had in the QA panel. So one point we wanted to talk about was folder creation. I don't know if that would be to John, but I know we had a decent amount of questions coming up about folder creation.
Yeah, we can jump into that real quick. It's
Sure.
pretty straightforward. All you need to do is come to your folder section and come to shared folders. And most users are not going to have access at shared folders to create a folder, but if you are an admin, you probably will. Just come here and choose create folder, and then you can create your folder, choose to add people to it if you want, or you can come back and do it later as we showed previously. And then once you add that name and create the folder, you're good to go. If you don't have access here, all you have to do, same process though, is just come into the folder here and do create folder and just give it a name. And then create folder. And there it is. What this folder, when you create a folder this way, it's going to inherit any permissions from up above it. So anything from the parent folder. So as you can see, we added John and this test user earlier, and both of them are automatically on there with the same permissions. So any new folders are gonna create with the parent permissions in addition to whoever you might add on to that folder.
That's awesome. Thank you, Cord. And on that note too, as you're creating the folder, where do you go to add users to that folder?
So if you're doing it through the create folder section here, it'll ask you it'll give you a 2-step process, and it'll be the same process we used earlier when we were adding a user.
Perfect.
And you can add multiple users here when you do it as well, or a distribution group, depending on how you want to do it. But again, if you're not needing to add a user, it's going to inherit all those permissions anyway.
Okay. Fantastic. And to add on to another thing that we saw in the QA was we noticed a few questions mentioning the topic of watermarking. I'll point that to someone on my team just to briefly cover.
Yeah, so I talked about that earlier. So when you're watermarking a file, it's going to require a sign-in. So you can't watermark a file with just like, no permissions on it, just like a public anonymous file. But with the sign-in required, it's going to take certain information that you configure, and maybe we can show, maybe Cord, if you go into the admin settings, we can go show where to set up the watermarking. And this will be where you can customize what you want the watermark to look like. So if you want it to be like the user's email address, or if you want their last name or company, you can even go as far as putting their IP address in there. All this information will be overlaid in that file when that person who was given the request logs in to view the file. So it's there up on the screen there. You can see if watermarking is enabled, that option will be there. And Cord simply added an email, last name, and then you can customize it however you'd like. So like I said, it's really only going to be an option for when users are logging in, because it does need this information like first name, last name, email, stuff like that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I see we have a question that says, can we create email templates to send, or is that only for forms? And it looks like, John, if you can answer that.
So I'll take that. I don't think John is on voice here, but for email templates, so Cord, if you bring up, go into maybe inbox and do like a compose. So there is an option here for remember subject and message. So if you do have something that you send quite often, you can do that, but there's not going to be like a place within ShareFile to like manage, email templates like this. What I would suggest doing if you want to do some kind of templates and work with ShareFile, is use the Outlook plugin if Outlook is your email client. That has really great integration, and then there's going to be a lot more power behind creating templates there, and then being able to bring in files to share or request directly from the ShareFile plugin that's embedded in the Outlook application. I hope that answers your question there.
Yeah, I think it does. And based on that, there was another question that popped up about folder templates in general.
Sure. Yeah, we can touch on that really quick. So folder templates are, essentially a structured list of how you want, your folders and subfolders to look. So if you come in here and see this template that we're looking at, we have some top level folders, company promo videos, documents, and then we have a couple subfolders. So if this is something that you use quite regularly, maybe you have, some employees that you're onboarding and everyone's going to be kind of using the same structure, you can link a new folder to this template. And so during the folder creation that Cord showed earlier, there's going to be an option for use a template. And then you can select, Greg's webinar template here, and any changes that we make to this template here on this screen will reflect on any of the folders that it's linked to. So that's kind of nice if you want to just keep, some of your organizational folders very neat and tidy, and maybe you have some, some new projects or something that you want to add to that list where everyone needs a folder to, to do their own work in. That's a good option here to add a template to a folder. But these can also be unlinked. So just don't think you're locked in, and if you delete something, it's just going to delete everything in there. All it simply does is just unlink that folder from the template. So you can continue using it. If the folders have been built out already from the template, they will remain there until you link it again. Then it'll pick up any changes. So super powerful tool, maybe a super underrated option there, but yeah, Cord's showing here how you can go into the settings of any folder. And if you have the permissions on the folder for admin, you can link it to a template. So good question.
Fantastic. Thank you, Greg. We do have a decent amount of questions still being answered by our team there in the QA panel. But once again, everyone, we're going to go ahead and close out here. We're going to leave this webinar open just for a little bit to get those questions answered in the QA panel. But a reminder to everyone, we will be sending this recording to you by the end of the week. If you missed the first part of it or you missed the second half of it, no need to fear. We will send you this recording by the end of the week. So thank you everyone for giving us a little bit of time in your day, wherever you are joining us. We really appreciate you joining us, and we hope you learned something and that you can leave this webinar feeling empowered to use ShareFile to the best of its abilities. So once again, thank you all so much for your time today, and thank you to our team for joining us and helping answer some questions. Thanks all. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you. Have a good one.